This is the remarkable story of how an American missionary working as a nurse in South India turned her compassion for children and the poor into a pioneering new institution called the Family Village Farm. It is an incredible institution that began as a nursery, turned into an elementary school, and then became both an orphanage and a fully accredited high school. It was located in a very poor village where many children in previous days might have helped their families by begging in the streets. It's located in the state of Tamil Nadu, a state of 72 million people where the language of Tamil is spoken. Dr. Pauline King began this place because she actually found one abandoned baby lying beside the road as she worked as an outreach community health nurse in the villages. She took in more and more, and when she was told she could not keep feeding and keeping more than 3 or 4 infants in her private home, she dreamed up the idea of building cottages for them, for which she would get funding from churches in America. There is one cottage that is a nursery for the toddlers, and there are 7 more of these cottages with 8 to 10 children in each cottage. And each parent may have up to 5 children to parent. The cottages are divided by age group and have both older and younger children in them. There are about 100 children, mostly girls, in these cottages. And there is also a hostel for older boys, with 50 of them there. In the late 1960s, the global ministries of the United Church of Christ and the Disciples Church helped her continue expanding the place with funds for building the King's School founded by her. The current principal, Mrs. Vatsala, tells us about this time.
These buses go to 47 villages and pick up the children. And these buses go to the villages where there is no government bus access. Poverty level is also very high. They can't afford to pay for the education as well as for the transportation. So now, by God's grace, more than 100 children are being sponsored by global ministries. If they wouldn't have stretched their helping hands, these children wouldn't continue their studies at King's School. So all glory be to God, and our sincere thanks to global ministries who help these children continue their studies at King's School.
As you walk around this amazing place and see the way in which the grandparents, the children, and the older ones relate to each other, it really feels more like a large family estate than like a typical Indian village. It was named Family Village Farm because Dr. King wanted a place where both young and old persons from disadvantaged backgrounds would feel welcomed into the relationships of a caring family. Recently, it was recognized as the best integrated complex of special homes for senior citizens and destitute children in the Vellore district by the government of Tamil Nadu. For all the children, young and old, the day begins and ends with worship services. They pray in the morning and they pray at night. To tell about the achievement of Pauline King's dreams for the Family Village Farm, here are the stories of 2 young men who came as orphans. Avinash was only 6 days old when he was adopted more than 30 years ago. He still enjoys visiting the Family Village Farm and plays with the kids now here. He says it's really like his home, and he loves to relate to the grandma who raised him. His amazing story is that this young orphan man who was nurtured and educated here will in a short time be going to work as a professor at a nursing college in North India. The other young man who came here at the age of 6 months was Satish, and he was raised by some of these same grandmas, attended King's School, and was inspired by a high school science teacher who inspired him to go on to one of the best educational institutions in India. He is now completing his PhD in genetic studies at the University of Miami in Florida. In the morning after devotions, the young people begin their day by getting a healthy breakfast. Each meal has a complete nutritional value added to it. The small ones eat at separate tables from the older ones with their fingers. Most of these children would receive a daily diet of only a small portion of rice and lentils if they did not live here. In this way, their entire lives are being permanently shaped and changed, both physically and mentally. After breakfast, the children take the bus to the King's Matriculation School, named after Dr. Pauline King. It has a full curriculum, from kindergarten through 12th grade, conducted in English, something that is greatly valued in India and would be totally unaffordable to their laboring parents.
And most importantly, I want to express my emotion in one word. I used to say that this is not a home for me, this is more like a heaven for me. Now I am an MA graduate, but that success depends upon the schooling that I received in King's Matriculation School. So I have no other words to express my schooling. My schooling is the best part of my life.
Imagine the pride felt by the sponsors of such children and youth born in South India. The monthly cost of sponsorship is about the cost of 2 typical dinners at a modest restaurant. You can find details for making donations of sponsorship at the Global Ministries website.